everyone. I want to welcome everyone for coming. And I would really want to thank our lovely host and hostess, Florence and Chris, for giving us their studio, our studio space, letting us come here. And for everyone who traveled, some of you traveled a really long way. And thank you so much for coming to just honor Martin's memory in our own way.
I mean, this is a blessing. When Ed asked me if I'd like to do the blessing, my first reaction was, but Martin is an atheist. So, but I felt I owed Martin so much. We went through so much together when we were young and learning about life and how to be people. I wanted to honor his existence in words somehow. So I set to the task of writing something fitting his larger-than-life existence. I thought, what do you write about something, or what do you write as a blessing for someone who didn't believe in anything? And as soon as I said that, I knew I was wrong. Although Martin was an atheist, or at least I believed him to be, nothing in the 37 years of conversations that we had told me differently. He did believe in something. I began to think of Martin as a humanist. Martin believed in the truth. He believed in getting to the truth. And I think he believed that no matter how much he knew about someone or something, there was always a truer truth just around the corner waiting to be discovered, recovered, or uncovered. He believed in critical thinking and evidence. Martin also believed in us, or he wouldn't have included us in his fantastic stranger-than-fiction life. He loved every one of us for the part we played in his journey, and for us allowing him to be part of our journey. For the discovery of ourselves through each other's eyes. He believed in life, in living life, and that we were the divine. It is that made me realize the blessing isn't for Martin. It's actually for us, those that go on without him. Then I stumbled on a Philip Appelman poem that seemed perfect. Is it crossing over Jordan to a city of light, archangels ceaselessly trumpeting over the heavenly choirs, perpetual Vivaldi, jasper and endless topaz and amethyst, the Sistine ceiling, 7 days a week, the everlasting smirk of perfection? Is it the river Styx, darkness made visible, fire that never stops, endless murder, too merciless to kill, massacres on an endless loop, the same old victims always coming back for more? Or is it the silky muck of Wabash and Maumee, the scurrying skim of blackbirds, fields of Queen Anne's lace and bumblebees? Well, go out once more and feel the crumble of dry loam, fingers and soil, slowly becoming the same truth. There in the hand is our kinship with oak, our bloodline to cattle. Imagine not eons of boredom or pain, but honest earth to earth. And when our bodies rise again, they will be wildflowers, then rabbits, then wolves, singing perfect love to a beautiful, meaningless moon. Thank you.
I've been asked to be here. I kind of tried to instigate that you all would get together, and I'm really happy to see you. My brother was born before me and led me in life in many ways, and showed me the path, and the path not to take some time. But importantly, especially when I was younger, he was there with me, and he was taking a journey that was at times very difficult, as naturally growing is, and at times there were the peculiarity of our circumstances that made it a challenge for him and led him to his choices that he made. But I think in the end, he did a lot of good things. And if, I want to reflect on something in a non-biographical basis, I'd probably go back to the last one I heard, which was last night when I went over to his apartment, and the guy next to him came over and said, yeah, I really liked him. He was a really nice guy. We spent time talking together. We spent time drinking together. We've had a good time. And we're both sick and we're both challenged, but we both, could care about each other as people. And I think that's what he did best. He really just cared about people. And when he could really show that and spend the time with them, and it was something that was good all around, I think we should be very, very sad that he's not here for that anymore.
Martin was born March 3rd, 1964. In 1982, he held a number of jobs, including bicycle messenger and stockbroker. At one point, he was actually quoted in New York Magazine, an article called Fast Company about the work of the bicycle messenger. And in true Martin fashion, his answer was, it's a rather as an Aristotelian job. You move the unknown, you're like the unknown mover, Aristotle's God, himself unmoved but causing everything else in his past to move, which I don't think was the answer they expected to get from a messenger at the time. And typically he also studied philosophy and physics for the time that he was in school at St. John's College in Annapolis. From 1986 to 1990, he served in the United States Marine Corps. He was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and in California at Camp Pendleton and 29 Palms, and rose to the rank of Lance Corporal. At his service, he was also, after he completed his service, he was often known by the name Nyc Labretš, which is Nyc was spelled N-Y-C, an homage to his hometown, and Labretš, which besides being the inverse of his name, was also a historical spelling of his last name, as I understand. And at times he's lived in California, Maryland, Europe, Washington D.C. In addition to English, he spoke fluent German and studied Japanese, Latin, and Attic Greece. On September 16th, he presented a paper called "A Call for Action" to the 14th Congress of the Basic Income Earth Network in Munich on the subject of technological unemployment, which is something that he had often, a condition he considered himself to have experienced. And he's remembered to many for his blogging, including a blog called "A Pen Warmed in Hell" on Blogspot, and a number of videos that have appeared on YouTube, Daily Motion and Vaymo, and he's survived by his brother Robert, who's here tonight along with many friends of the family and many of Martin's friends. And those are the facts of his life. But for those who knew him, he was really a friend and an enigma. He was a genius, but spent most of his life trying to apply with his beliefs and trying to, as Sandy would say, search out the truth. And he liked to share his findings, sometimes in endless phone calls. That was one constant through his whole life. A couple of the gentlemen here who knew him through his blogging had spoken to him on occasion, and he would always have a very long, in-depth conversation about his ideas. And that's something that dated back, as far as I do, to his high school days. At times he would call me on the phone when I had friends over, and he would speak for so long, you didn't have to speak back, he would just speak. He would have a monologue on the phone, and when it got too long for you to listen, you'd pass the phone along to somebody else. And several people could listen to Martin for a while before you pick up the phone, and occasionally you would all say, yeah. And that would be enough, and he would be able to continue. But, he was in any way a light for many of us. He introduced me to a lot of pieces of my life that are still a major part of my life as far as music and beliefs go. So I don't know what his awareness was of his effect on the world, but it was probably more than he knew.
I sort of prepared something written, but maybe I'll just chat. I don't know, maybe I'll go with this. The thing I prepared is kind of on the theme that you introduced, that he was in fact passionate about truth in an extraordinary way. And that's what made him stand out. I mean, that's how, I came to know him simply on Facebook to begin with. And we met in person a couple times in Park Museum in Washington and talked on the phone, and since he came back to the States. But Facebook was the first place I knew him, maybe going back 5 or 6 years, I guess. And he did, it's hard to stand out on Facebook. It's the whole world there, gabbing every day. So for anybody, a stranger, to sort of reach out and grab your attention is remarkable. And he did that. Seems to me what made Nick stand out on Facebook was his either unwillingness or inability to look away from fundamental things that were troubling him. And that really should trouble all of us, except that we tend just to look away. So that's what made him stick out. That's the only reason I know him, I guess. And one of those fundamental things are what Ed, you mentioned, the technological obsolescence, the rise of the robots, and when Nick started talking about that years ago, most people thought it was extreme to say it was like worrying about climate change, which is also obviously in our future. We just don't look at them, it's not something that we can stand to look at or that we find we have the time to look at. He kind of made the time to look at that issue in particular, and he kind of forecasted things that you can now read in the New York Times, which is saying, by another 3 years, 47% of the jobs in the country are going to be given over to the robots or whatever. So it's become commonplace in the media. It was one of the fundamental things that he just wouldn't look away from. And he kind of educated us about them. Or me anyway. He compelled me to pay more attention, and he also pointed to a lot of interesting. To my mind, maybe that's the fundamental reason I came to know him.